Hey guys, it's Brian. I'm going to quickly kind of dive into our market commentary for this weekend. I hope everybody had a good Easter weekend if you celebrate Easter. Otherwise, I hope you had a nice relaxing weekend. Tomorrow, we know, is a big holiday, so volume will probably be a bit thin and the markets could be potentially a bit slow. So, just keep that in mind if you're looking for trades that, there might not be too much momentum behind some of the moves. I just want to quickly touch on just a few things before I kind of dive into it. Tonight I'm going to cover GBP USD, Euro USD, Aussie dollar, and Euro Yen. I'm probably going to get through them pretty quickly and just kind of look at our higher time frame, points of interest, and some potential direction for the market this coming week and maybe the beginning of this quarter. We'll kind of see where we're at. That being said, I wanted to kind of dive into, I keep getting this question about, how long is it going to take me to become consistent or profitable, or consistently profitable for that matter. And I try to be consistent with my answer in the fact that, everybody's going to be different. It's who's going to use their time most effectively, right? Like my year is going to look a lot different than your year. You may be way more efficient than I am, and you might be able to get a lot more done in your days than I could, right? Maybe you don't have kids, or maybe you do have kids, maybe you have a full-time job, maybe you don't have a full-time job. Whatever it is, it's really just about how you use your time efficiently. If you have 4 hours to spend on the charts and study, are they going to be efficient and effective hours, or are they going to be distracted hours with music, YouTube, movies, kids, wives, husbands, you name it, right? Like there's so many variables that go into this when you're considering learning a lifetime or a lifelong skill set like trading. So if you're kind of in one of those positions where you feel like maybe you're not getting as much traction as you should for as much effort as you put in, just understand that you can only do so much, right? Just keep trying, put your head down, and work hard, and eventually it'll come, right? And there is always that case that maybe sometimes it won't. Trading isn't for everyone. It's appealing to everybody, but it isn't necessarily for everyone. But the ones who do succeed are the ones who persist and the ones who work really hard and, again, work efficiently. I think one of the things that you have to keep in mind is when you're putting time into the charts, studying, trading, whatever it is, you have to make sure that when you are working efficiently and effectively, you're not sacrificing the things that are important, right? There are more important things in trading, like your health and your family. Don't neglect family and friends to, sink yourself into trading too much. I mean, maybe you can neglect friends, but don't neglect your kids, that kind of thing, right? You gotta remember everything is like a 3 or 4 legged table or stool, right? You kind of need a equal balance of everything to make sure that life is what it should be. Another thing I wanted to touch on is there's been a lot of people who, I don't know, I guess you can call them haters or whatever it is. And the only thing I have to say with that is that, people they'll always question the good things that they hear about you, right? But when it comes to the bad stuff, they won't give it a second thought. They will immediately believe it, right? And just let them. It doesn't matter, right? There's so much going on in our lives, and supporting the community, supporting our families, doing all these things. That's all that matters, right? We don't really care about the opinions of apes and morons. And the final thing, right? Losses. I keep hearing a lot about losses and kind of how to combat that, how to get kind of out of a shell shock state when you've taken maybe 2-3 losses in a row and you fail to execute on that one that actually runs. And a lot of it has to do with patience. A lot of it has to do with kind of understanding your entry criteria and your model. There's a million different ways to enter the market, whether it's smart money concept stuff or not retail, it doesn't matter, right? There's so many ways to enter the market, right? The market goes up, it goes down. Sometimes it goes sideways, but for the most part it goes up and down. And one of the things that you have to keep in mind is that losses, as I think we've heard before from Phantom and Brad, is that losses are lessons, right? One thing I want to kind of express upon you guys is the idea of learning from your losses. When you do your journaling and your case studies and that kind of stuff, it's really important to understand why you took your losses. Are they losses because of impulsive and emotional trading? Are they losses because of probability? Are they losses because of habitual mistakes that you might make, right? The only way that you're going to know which loss is which and which ones you can eliminate and which ones are unavoidable is to journal your trading, right? You have to be aware of yourself. Hold a mirror up to your trading and your emotions, and understand that probability is not something that you can really avoid. But if you make the same mistakes over and over again, and you can become aware of these mistakes, this is something that you can adjust, right? This is something that you can fix over time, and hopefully those triggers that kind of cause these mistakes, these habitual mistakes, can become apparent when they're happening, and you can avoid these issues, right? So I'll quit kind of ranting for now and just kind of dive into things, but I do want to cue up this little video that one of our traders in the community, Pete, put together. It's a nice piece. I think it's something that, I think it kind of reminds you a little bit, to take it easy, and this stuff takes hard work and it takes time and dedication to get under your belt, and pretty much not to give up. And I think it's a pretty cool piece, so I'll run that now.
Decide on a strategy that looks after all elements of money management. You've got to manage losses. That keeps you in the game. You've got to believe you have a system that will make more than it gives back. No one is ever going to have 100%, so accept that losses are part of the game and manage that.
This is where the emotional detachment is absolutely key, because you need to have the emotional detachment from your P&L. You need to be able to switch that off.
Anyone, I think, can make money in the markets. I think it's really easy to make money in the market. It's just there's not many people that are able to keep that money. A lot of people start to get egotistical and start to lose that shit.
Trading is not rocket science. As far as an intellectual thing, you have to be smart enough, but it's not like you have to be an MIT grad or anything to be successful. It's really psychology that's 80% of the difference with people that make it and people that don't. I recommend reading everything you can about trading psychology. Mark Douglas has a few books.
I've got a particular set of variables that when they appear in the market, that is my edge. The variables, the criteria that you use are absolutely rigid, black and white. They're either present or they are not. That's the only decision you have to make. And if they're on, you are obligated to take the trade.
You want to remember a bad trade, a trade that goes wrong. You want to remember it because you want to learn from it. And what gives you the resilience is that you're treating losses as learning experiences. In that sense, you're embracing the losses.
Become as systemic as possible in determining what your setup is. So the more it can be reduced to logic, the better. And then you need to stick to the system as systemically as possible as well, which most people are incapable of with emotions, particularly after, say, 3 losses. You'll be snakebite fearful, and after 3 wins, you'll be piling on twice the size. And that'll be the one that'll lose and give back all of those 3 wins.
It's not about making 10 grand in a month. It's not about making 100 grand in a month. It's about making that money every single day. It's about coming to the market and being able to pull money out of it every single day rather than having that one giant winner.
Nothing external can defeat the internal. Nothing external is strong enough. It's just about making sure your internal dialogue and your internal belief in yourself is strong enough that it can withstand the external.
All right, let's dive into GBP USD. Now we're looking at the weekly here, and we've kind of gone over this a number of times. But what we have here is our weekly area of interest. We are expecting, or we have received at least, some pretty decent bearish action from this. In terms of the weekly expectation order flow, we are still looking at pretty bullish price action, it would take quite a bit to kind of remove that expectation for me in order to fulfill a bearish weekly expectation order flow. It'd have to break the swing low, which I don't really see happening anytime soon. So we will just go to the daily, kind of see what we've got going on here. Now our last push was a break of structure at this level here. And from this level, we have had still bullish price action. We have a nice bullish swing leg here. Now that means our swing low is down here and price is kind of reacting off of this last line of defense level. And I am anticipating potentially, but not 100% sure yet, but potentially continued bullish price action. Now if we look at the daily, we have this last sell before the buy area of interest, demand zone, right? We can see here that price has been reacting bullish off of this level, and it is beginning to push this high here. Now, technically speaking, if we were to just look at this, we would be talking about bearish order flow, right? So potentially this could give us a decent reaction to the downside. However, incorporating the fact that our swing high and swing low on the daily is this level and this level, we are simply within this range, and the expectation for higher prices still remains, right? So if we take a look at the 4 hour, we'll start marking up potential areas where we may get some reactions this week. Now, again, because we did get this weekly, or this daily break of structure to the upside, technically higher time frame, we are bullish. However, working on a 4 hour area of interest supply zone, we have this last buy before the sell within this consolidation range. Now, if we take a look a little bit closer, we can see that price has mitigated this level and then continued to mitigate this level, right? Which essentially weakened this, creating kind of a level of liquidity, right? So once price broke this level here, we do see that price came pretty bearish into this level with quite a bit of momentum, and we got a strong reaction off of this daily area of interest, which we can refine down to this last sell before the buy. Now there is technically this point of interest as well here, because this is the one that led to the break of structure. However, when price does kind of push through this level, I'm going to clean it up, I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm just going to work with the more relevant one here where we did get the reaction. Now price is pushing up to fill this void more or less. We can see that it's kind of left this level up here. I am anticipating price pushing above this and potentially into this level here. Now, even though my higher time frame expectational order flow is bullish, I am anticipating some bearish price action from this level. So I may look for some shorts here. I do believe this could be our catalyst for a pullback and then potentially price continuing higher. Now, again, if we're only looking at the 4 hour expectational order flow, it is possible that price may continue this bearish price action, as we have not broken this high yet, right? Once we get this 4 hour closure above this swing high of this leg here, this will, in theory, kind of confirm our bullish order flow. However, if we do get a continued bearish price action followed by a break of structure at this level, we could see continued long-term bearish price action. So for right now, we'll keep an eye on this. In terms of where we are in price, we are at a significant level. There is a lot to be determined by this point of interest here. With that closure above, that will, I believe, confirm that bullish price action longer term. If we fail to break this level and then ultimately break this level, that will confirm, I believe, a much longer term bearish order flow. Now, I do think, again, that we will tap into this level potentially in the next, maybe tomorrow, maybe Tuesday, early in the week, and give some bearish price action, which in theory will weaken this level. So if price does decide to continue that bullish order flow, maybe from this level here, we could get a much longer term bullish continuation from the higher time frame. Now, one thing I will do is let's take a look at this area of interest here for potential shorts. Let's see if there's anything worth taking a look at. Let's see. Now, one thing I can see right away is that we do have equal highs right here. Right, and if you remember from my last commentary, when I see equal highs and equal lows, I like that for my liquidity model, because it more or less tells me that there's a good chance that we'll get a strong reaction to the level just above it, right? Because normally when we are reacting or taking out liquidity from equals, we do see a deep correction or potentially a full reversal. Now, because we are working from a strong 4-hour supply zone, I am expecting price to give a decent reaction to the downside, but you know, to be determined in terms of how long it will actually last. So if we look just above this zone of liquidity into this level of consolidation here, try to break it down, see if there's anything significant. I do see pretty clearly that there is this 15-minute area of interest here, which I'll just kind of mark in black just so I can separate my supply and demand zones from my entry areas. And I will drag this across. Now, the reason I picked this is because it's kind of the last point before this break of structure. It's our last buy before the actual sell that led to these breaks of structure here. This break of structure did not come until this level here, but I think if we look across, I think we got a pretty significant reaction from this level already, so it's not really valid. Yeah, right here. All right, price push broke that structure to the downside. You can see it kind of came back to re-mitigate it, which makes this a weakened level, right? So in theory, price may push to the upside here. We could get a nice kind of hedge into this short, potentially from this 15-minute area of interest here. We can see when the market closed on Friday, you know, the banks closed and everything got pretty choppy in here. So the price action within this level is not really anything to write home about. One thing we can see that's pretty interesting is this. This is funny to me because, you know, anybody that says that price isn't, you know, formulated by an algorithm is just lying. This is unbelievably obvious that this is all computer generated levels, but that's just my opinion. But anyways, in this 15-minute, we do have some pretty interesting price action. Let's see what we have. We'll look at the 5 minutes a little bit cleaner, I think. In terms of any sweeps of liquidity, potentially we do have this level here. And we have this nice kind of 5-minute area of interest here. Now if we want to refine it, we can probably refine it to this level. Right. This blue. Oops, sorry. Tighten that up. Keep this black. And yeah, this could be potentially a decent area to long from. We do have weakened highs, equal highs, and a nice strong point of interest here on the 15. The reason, again, I chose this 15 is that price is pretty efficient throughout these levels. You can kind of see in this very level here, we do have a sweep of liquidity and a failure to break structure, right? We don't get that break of structure really until this candle here. You can kind of see that the 15-minute and the 5-minute are almost the same. I'll refine it to the 5-minute. This sweep, even though it doesn't have a break of structure, you can see it's been mitigated by this level. So for me, I'm going to keep an eye on this level and just see if it's worth anything here. I'm going to put some alerts on the way up. All right. So that's what I'm looking at for GBP USD as of right now and my kind of longer term outlook. Let's go ahead and move on to Euro USD. All right, let's take a look at Euro USD. We've got a similar situation from GBP USD where we've hit this weekly supply zone. Switch this to red, get the color coding going. We do have a weekly kind of level of consolidation here. it's a bit blocky and unclear, so I'm going to go down to the daily and take a little bit better look at what we have going on here. Now immediately something that stands out to me is we do have this very slight sweep of liquidity, which I kind of want to investigate a little bit further. You can see here, based on this wick, price took out this level. Just clean it up a little bit. You can see here that this wick took out this level and then pushed to break structure highs, kind of from this origin. So for me, this is an unmitigated sweep of liquidity, which I am interested in breaking down a little bit in terms of price action. So let's figure out what we've kind of done here in terms of the daily so far. We do have some 4-hour areas of interest to keep an eye on, just in case we do get some pullbacks into this level, or that may potentially give us a reaction as price comes back into it. That may be catalyst for pullbacks if we decide to kind of continue this weekly bullish expectation order flow. Again with like cable, this is pretty significant in terms of this level. We do have a strong push that lasted from basically January 2018 till March 2020. So pretty significant level that price is pushing from. We could see continued bearish price action, just as we saw with cable, but that will be determined sort of on how we react to this swing low here. Now, in terms of a swing high, swing low on the weekly, we are looking at this for a swing high and this for a swing low. So we are well within this range. In terms of daily swing level, swing high, we definitely broken some structure to the downside, definitely breaking substructure as well here. We do again have this last sweep at this level that price is beginning to push into, so we will keep an eye on this. I'm going to go down to the 4 hour, see if there's anything significant here. Just wicks. Has this mitigated anything? Yeah, we can say pretty definitively that this mitigated this level of consolidation here, which was the origin before this push up. We don't necessarily have a strong break of structure because there isn't really any structure here, but this is a significant level of consolidation. So this mitigation's interesting. This would be in theory why it did push to break structure to the upside. So let's keep pushing down, look at the 1 hour, see what's going on. Not as clear if we're looking at the last sell before the buy. This is a massive range, so we'll keep breaking it down for something a little bit more concrete. Now the 15-minute looks pretty decent. All right, it's a little bit more defined. Just look at it on the 5 and see how that looks. I don't want to refine it too much because it is pretty far away, and it is we don't even have that data. I'll go to 15 again. Now let's see. It's about as clear as the 15. So go back to the 15. I'm going to mark out this last sell before the buy. Actually, let me do the EQ. And if you didn't know this, you can, if you don't want to adjust, like sometimes you can drag this stuff out, but you don't always get accurate results because you might kind of lose this lower level. If you actually double click on it, go to coordinates, you can actually change this to whatever, just a higher number, and it'll extend it to the right, and it'll do it with accuracy. You just have to kind of figure out where that is. Oops. All right, we'll see if that extends into current price. It does not. Not even close. It's based on the time frame, by the way, that you're looking at, so it's 3,000. Okay, that's fine. So we do have this significant sweep of liquidity here. just kind of trendline liquidity mitigates something pretty significant in here as well. This is a 15-minute EQ, so I will monitor price as it comes into it, as we could get a pretty decent reaction on the upside. So I'll leave some alerts here as price enters into this level. But if we go back to the 4-hour, kind of look, obviously we're pretty bearish. I think it'd be pretty safe to continue to look for shorts into this level here. And then we will kind of go from there. Now if we do tighten this up a little bit, this daily area, we can put it here, this last buy before the sell, right? And we will keep an eye on this level. We do have very nice targets for price to potentially come back long into, right? We have strong equals there. We have some unmitigated sweeps of liquidity above this level here. Right, you can see that we have equals. It's a bit subjective in terms of trend line as well. You can use trend line liquidity here as well. This is why trend lines don't normally work. You could literally connect so many different points and try to make a case for liquidity, right? Either way, right, any trend line that you draw, right, I've got 3 drawn up here, right? This point, this point, this point, this point. Really strong reactions to the downside, right? So this is all valid. It means there's liquidity above all these levels here, right? So we have this level, right? Strong reaction, pretty decent reaction as well. So we have 1, 2, 3 levels here, right? All liquidity above this structure as well. We have these equal highs, right? You could see as a double bottom, potentially triple bottom, or triple top, excuse me. So all of these levels, right? All these retail strategies all get swept out with this, right? Pretty significant. And if we look across from here, the mitigation, what do we mitigate? We mitigate a strong level of consolidation before a break of structure. So for me, this again is a very strong level to potentially target. Now, one thing I will say is this. Something I've been working on and something I've been looking at is when you get, I think I've mentioned this before, but when you get a bearish or a bullish and a bearish, however, both ways, if you get a window of imbalance, so both on the bullish side and the bearish side, this can be seen as a gap in the market. This does not exist. You look straight through it. Typically what you can do is you can actually look at the EQ and see if there's anything on the other side of that EQ, anything significant. Now it's funny enough, it goes through another window of imbalance, right? So when that is the case, not necessarily that there's another window of imbalance, but what I'm typically looking for is I'm looking for a reaction off the CQ. So what I'll do ahead of time is I'll mark out that I will either take partials or profits at this level. If price is to come up to here, I want to be fully aware of this and not lose track of it, so I'll do this here. Right. Make sure it's accurate. And set some alerts, right? We'll just kind of see how price develops. Now, obviously, this is anticipating that price will run bullish off this level, but for what I'm seeing, this is a lot of reason for price to do so, right? We have strong POIs that have taken out liquidity. We've got strong equals here. I know that if price does come to this level, it will give a strong pullback, potentially a full reversal, but more likely than not to continue that higher time frame bullish order flow. We'll probably expect just a pullback and then potentially a re-entry here for price to continue higher into our significant level here as well, right? So that is something to keep an eye on. This again, I think we should get a decent reaction off of it. It is our last line of defense in terms of a swing low. This is our weekly swing low, which we are quickly approaching. And that's pretty much what I'm looking for in Euro US dollar. If we're looking at more intraday plays, it's kind of hard to tell with this kind of choppy price action for the last couple days here, but nothing significant standing out to me at the moment. Turn on my Asia range, try to get a good idea of where we're at. That's not right. That's definitely broken. Okay, I think we can safely say that this, from here to here, is roughly our Asia range. Turn this off. Yeah, nothing significant. It's not much to work with in terms of this stuff here. In terms of the 15 minute, again, we do have some structure here to the upside, but nothing really standing out to me at the moment. We can see here currently we did break structure to the downside here, and we are reacting bearish off of this kind of point of interest here as well. If we want to refine this, we can refine this down to the last buy before the sell, which we are getting that reaction now, right? So from what I can see, we have decent liquidity to the downside for price to potentially push lower. We are having a failure to break this structure high here. Again, leaving more liquidity for future price. And for now, we will monitor price as it kind of produces. All right, let's move on to, let's go to Euro, let's go to Aussie dollar. All right, as we move on to Aussie dollar, I think we're going to see a lot of the similar type of price action that we have been seeing with the other US dollar pairs. We have this last buy before the sell weekly area of interest. Again, a very significant level, right? This is where we got all this breakage structure. It lasted for about 2 years, which has only been recently corrected by after the COVID tank. And now we are again starting to see that bearish price action from this level. It could be just a pullback, continuing our bullish expectational order flow. But again, we are at some significant levels. And I think the higher time frame price will become clear in the next few weeks here. So not too much to discuss on the weekly. We do have this kind of last sell before the buy up here as well. We can see that price is reacting within this level. Let's go ahead and refine that to the daily. And we'll drop this down last sell before the buy. Now let's look at the weekly again. In terms of actual swing high, swing low, swing high. This is interesting. This is probably my swing low. A lot of the other pairs have had a swing low that were down here. Or if you kind of compare. Right, Aussie dollar, GBP USD, stalling a little bit more than Euro USD. Euro USD has been shifting down quite a bit more. So if we're looking at Aussie dollar for now, we're looking at this as my swing low because I do qualify this as structure. So we will consider that a break of structure here, which in theory makes this the higher high, and this is the higher low. So you can see here that we've wicked it, but we haven't closed on it on the weekly. So the expectation for price to continue higher still remains. Look at the daily. Again, we don't have a closure of the daily below. We have a wick and a sweep, and that's significant because what that tells me is that we do have equal lows just here. Price is now swept this level, and my guess is that it has mitigated something significant within this pivot point here. So why don't we break that down and take a look. We'll go straight to the 15 minute. I imagine it's a swing low pivot before break of structure. Yes, we do get the significant break at this level. This is an unmitigated level before, again, the push here. If we're looking at following series of mitigations, you can kind of see that this here has been mitigated by this, leaving this level, we'll do the last sell before the buy, unmitigated. Right. So with that being said, let's do this. Right. 4 hour. Extend this out a bit more. And leave replay. Let's see what we got. Pretty close to EQ, not exactly on it, but it makes sense that it would be this level. So we can see that sweep of liquidity push directly into that 15-minute area of interest. Pretty significant area. That's typically what I'm looking for when it comes to entries. Now, what we're looking at, again, we'll go back to the 4-hour, is that this was kind of the last line of defense again. Right? We have the sweep, but we don't have the closure below on the daily and the weekly. And as of right now, because we are at, again, that kind of significant level of the higher time frame areas of interest and expectation order flow, I think it's important to understand that those wicks don't really qualify this as bearish price action. If anything, this is kind of hinting towards bullish price action, because typically what you want to do is you want to trade away from a sweep. So these equals are pretty significant levels here, and it is sweeping and it is pushing to the upside. We don't quite have a break of structure yet in terms of the 4-hour. You can see that we kind of have this wick to kind of combat. Even then, it's not necessarily the swing high. Or swing high is kind of up here, right? This is kind of just like a little pullback within this overall bullish leg or bearish leg from the break of structure, right? So in theory, I would like to see price push this 4-hour high and close above it and start to kind of continue that bullish price action for continued price higher. Now, my anticipation is that price will kind of continue to range again, because if you look at price doesn't just impulse up or down, right? It goes up, it ranges, it impulses, it ranges, it impulses, it ranges, right? This is typically how the market works, and it's always going to be that way, right? It's just they have to accumulate the orders and build up the orders before they can sustain a trend. And 9 out of 10 times it's going to be by way of sideways market or potentially a channel, something that's going to build price over time, right? So that's pretty much what I'm looking at for Aussie dollar this week. We do have, again, that sweep of liquidity, and we're starting to push to the upside. So I can see potentially price pushing these swing levels here on the daily. We do have this last buy before this sell, so this could be a significant level. This did lead to the break of structure as well. So keep an eye on that. We'll look at the 4-hour, see if there's anything significant in this. You can see this is kind of a buy range, right? This is a swing low, swing high, this kind of range before this buy range before the sell, right? So this is our buy to sell. So I think this area would be pretty significant. There's quite a bit going on the 15. One thing I will say is that there is equal highs here, so there is a reason for price to trade higher. You can see this is a break of structure, and this comes to mitigate this level, which is now kind of weakened this level. So in theory, we might get a reaction in terms of like retail support and resistance, but I don't think it will hold. So this is a lot of, there is cause for price to trade higher at this point. We do have this kind of sweep of liquidity here as well before price dropped and broke structure to the downside. So we'll just keep an eye on it. We do have this window of imbalance as well. So I will mark out the EQ of this. See where this intersects. Again, pretty significant level here, but we do have more equals as well. So we'll keep an eye on this. This is kind of like our last sweep of liquidity above the equal highs here, so it is fairly significant, so I'll leave some alerts on this as well. And for now, I'll kind of mark out the EQ with this extended line, and as price enters those levels, we'll keep an eye on it for now. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've got going on here. Nothing too out of the ordinary, kind of the same as everything else. We're within a high and a low, just ranging between, tapping into our significant lows. As price develops, it'll be interesting to see if we're going to get that higher time frame expectation or order flow for bullish price, or if we're going to break that and start pushing for bearish momentum. So let's take a look at Euro Yen now. All right, taking a look at Euro Yen, we are not quite at this weekly area of interest here, but we are quickly approaching it. Looking at from top down, you can see that we did push this, right? Pretty significant. We'll look at this last sell before this buy. We breaks the structure up here and along the way up here as well. You can see that price came and mitigated this level already. So in terms of the significant mitigation, this would be this here, this last sell before the buy, I believe. Yep. So clean this up, blue. You can see that price came and mitigated this level already. So in terms of the significant mitigation, this would be this here, this last sell before the buy, I believe. Yep. So clean this up, blue. All right, and because this level was mitigated here and it gave us a reaction to the upside, but it failed to break the structure in any way, this became kind of like a weak low, right? Which in turn just becomes liquidity. So as price pushes and takes out this level, we then get a proper mitigation of the true level, the true swing low. We can see here price has kind of mitigated itself over and over again, and we got a consolidation before a push. Consolidation before a push, more of a range before a push, more of a range before a push. It's all the same thing, right? Range, sweep, and what we can see is we can see that price took out this level and it immediately started trading away from it, right? Swept into the significant low of this price here, which you can see again denoted by this last sell before the buy within this range, right? So as price mitigated this level, gave it a weak low, built liquidity before entry, you can get into this level and you can ride up to the top here. Now again, this is the weekly, and what we're seeing is we're seeing bullish weekly expectational order flow, with prices now swinging high and approaching this weekly supply zone as well. All right, so let's look at the daily for something a little bit more clear. As of right now, in terms of swing high, swing low, we potentially have this as our swing low, and this is definitely our swing high. The reason I say potentially is because I don't really qualify this as structure. This is a pullback. We do have a sell candle and a little bearish momentum, but ultimately, if we're talking about legs, this is our bullish leg here, so this would be swing low, swing high. But if we look at the daily, I think we can qualify this as a swing, at least on the daily. Right. All right, so as price is developing, we do have some pauses, a lot of daily POIs within here, and price again is pushing this weekly area of interest up here. As of right now, in terms of the daily, we are reacting off of this. Again, it's just a level of consolidation before a push up. And the question now is, are we going to break these highs to continue that bullish order flow, or is it going to fail to do so and use this potentially as liquidity to continue maybe some of this bearish pullback? So we'll drop this down in the 4 hour, see if there's anything significant within that daily level. This last sell before the buy, clean up a little bit, it's a little bit more accurate now. Clean up this liquidity as well. Now, one thing I would say that is fairly significant is that we do have this kind of trendline liquidity here based on the 4 hour. We have this sweep here, which is our swing high, and price is currently reacting to it. If we look at this from a last buy before the sell, we do have a reaction to the downside, which could be giving us potentially the range. Sweep of the high, trading away from the sweep would be down here. It's mitigating this level, which is technically weakening this level, which gives us more liquidity to the upside. I would expect price to reach this weekly, but it might not do so anytime soon. So if we look a little bit further, again, in terms of 4-hour continuational areas of interest, we do have our last sell before the buy, which is a very large level. So we'll have to refine that down. We also have this here, right? Break of structure, sort of. Structure is not really great. Again, this is just a level consolidation. Okay, that makes sense. But there is cause for price to trade lower at this point. But that might be for future price, so we'll see how this develops over time. We can see here that this sweep of liquidity was actually mitigated by this level already. Right, so price came up, swept this out, broke some structure to the downside, came back up, immediately got mitigated by this, and then continued to the downside here. So if we're looking to refine this area for potential short reactions, we'd be looking at this guy here. Just look at the last buy before the sell. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. There's nothing looking too good on EJ at the moment, to be honest. Again, we do have this sweep it's not unmitigated, it is mitigated, so it's potentially weakened and could have potential for price to trade higher. But if we're looking at a series of mitigations, this would technically be the area to watch out for here. Again, we do have this mitigation at this level here with a failure to break structure low, so this becomes liquidity. Price is pushing higher, approaching the weekly area of interest above. So I know there wasn't too much to discuss on the EJ setups recently. We'll be curious to see how price reacts to this level here. We could get potential shorts from it as well. The one thing I like about EJ though is it tends to do whatever it wants. You know, you got Euro Yen and Cable and Aussie Dollar, or not Euro Yen, excuse me. You have Euro Dollar, GBP USD, you have Aussie Dollar. They tend to follow the same suit, right? One goes long, one goes short. EJ sort of does whatever it wants whenever it wants, so it's kind of a nice pair if you're getting stuck in the bias of the dollar index or anything like that. It's kind of nice to switch it up and look at EJ. That's why I like dollar Swiss as well, because you can kind of get the opposite price action from the dollar pairs, and you just kind of shift your mindset. Sometimes y'all look at charts and be like, man, I'm not really seeing shorts today, but the longs, for whatever reason, are making more sense to me. So I might switch to a pair that is bullish and look for entry there. But yeah, that does conclude everything for me tonight. I hope this hasn't gone on too long for you guys. I did try to quickly do these 4 pairs. And you know, I don't expect Brad to be doing commentaries right now. I'm sure those guys are really tired, and massive congratulations to them. It's got to be so exciting for them, and really happy to be here helping. And I know there's a lot of good things coming to this community, and just really happy to be a part of it. Yeah, you guys keep working hard and staying strong, and we will chat soon. Oh, one last thing. I did drop my preferred entry models in the team markups. I edited it just recently to also share the bullish order flow model and the bearish one as well. So you can kind of see them both there. Yeah, outside of that, just have a good rest of your week, and I will see you guys in the Discord. All right, take care.